know I like to share a laugh together before I get into anything else, and I just, sometimes it's hard to find things. But I came across some new light bulb jokes that I got a big kick out of, because these were kind of new ones for me. I've heard a lot of light bulb jokes in my lifetime, haven't you? Yeah. It's amazing, they keep coming up with new ones. But here's one, it kind of appeals to my ancestry on my German side. My dad was German ancestry. How many Germans does it take to screw in a light bulb? 1, they're efficient and not very funny. All right. How long does it take a performance artist to change a light bulb? I don't know. I left after the first hour and a half. I've heard these before. How many Cubs fans does it take to change a light bulb? Cubs, that's a baseball team, right? How many Cubs fans does it take to change a light bulb? None. They just talk about doing it next year. How many Grateful Dead fans does it take to change a light bulb? None. They just let it burn out and follow it around for a few decades. How many football players does it take to change a light bulb? The whole team, and they all get a semester's credit for it. Yep. Here's one that appeals to me. How many graduate students does it take to change a light bulb? Just 1, but it may take her more than 5 years to do it. Amen. How many jazz musicians does it take to replace a light bulb? They just lay down the beat and the bulb follows the groove. Here's one for the artists in the house. How many modern artists does it take to change a light bulb? 2, 1 to throw bulbs against the wall, and 1 to pile hundreds of them in a heap and spray paint them orange. Yeah. I've been to art exhibits like that. Yeah, right. How many, let me see, how many doctors does it take to change a light bulb? 3, 1 to find a bulb specialist, 1 to find a bulb installation specialist, and 1 to bill it all to Medicare. How many plastic surgeons does it take? Just 1, but he'll also want to do something about your nose. Here's one I like, it's a little complex, but how many soap opera heroines does it take to change a light bulb? 3, the heroine who goes up on a ladder to do it, and her psychopathic twin sister who pulls the ladder out from under her and then locks her in the attic so she can take her place. Plus her cousin who has plastic surgery to make her look like both of them so she can search for the jewels that are hidden in the socket. Yeah. And finally, how many TV evangelists does it take to change a light bulb? 1. But for the message of light to continue, send in your donations today. People keep coming up with these. I think it's kind of a tribute to the human imagination. Some of those are good. Well, I don't know how many of you caught Eddie's message last week on the man in the mirror. I found it something for me to kind of think about all through the week. I really enjoyed his message a lot. And I think the ideas I want to explore a little bit today are, in a way, kind of an extension with that. He was talking about how often what we're dealing with in our lives is really kind of reflections of things that were put in motion long before. And when we're only kind of working here without looking at what's, the causes that have led to, we may not be, making the impact or the change we want to make. He used the image of, we might be combing the mirror instead of our hair. It's an image I like, combing the mirror instead of our hair. Dealing just with reflections and not with what caused those reflections. Dealing with the ripples and not what, the pebble that made them. I think that's a powerful truth to reflect on. We definitely need to work with what's before us, and we need activists, and we need to be doing things, externally, but not to leave it there, because if we don't get back to cause, to source, we will be spinning our wheels a good deal and making things more difficult for us. The place to start, the powerful place we need to meet, whatever the changes we want to make, or whatever the improvement in our lives or the lives of our world, has to get back to source. We have to look at ourselves. and see what are the causes of what we're putting in motion. I stumbled upon this, I was doing some reading about, it was an online newsletter I got from an organization. They were talking about, they had attended an environmental a conference, a group of environmental groups in the Chesapeake Bay area, and they were all sharing ideas and, about their various initiatives and projects, things they were doing to clean up the waters of the Chesapeake Bay and to protect it environmentally. And so group after group got up and described what they were doing, what their efforts were. And the last person who got up to talk was a rabbi of an area synagogue that was very environmentally conscious synagogue. And the rabbi began her remarks by saying, well, we work way upstream. We work at the level of soul. And I found that such a resonant idea, working way upstream at the level of soul. That's getting back to cause. That's getting back to enlightening hearts and minds so that we get the right things in motion. That's really working upstream. And I think that's where we all need to work. And at some point in our lives, we all realize we need to get to that level. We need to work way upstream. And not just keep working on the level of externals and details and trying to get those right. Finding the right things. You know, the real, getting back to cause is what really kind of makes the big difference in the reflections we're going to experience going forward. The effects, the ripples that are going to go out going forward. I think that's something we all realize at some point. We really need to get back to cause. That real fulfillment is going to come from getting in touch with that deep source in us, which is our awareness that we're God-connected beings, that we have direct access to guidance and direction, to wisdom, that we're being guided to use our talents in a way that'll bless the world. That's it's not just about amassing stuff, about material accumulation. It's about becoming, it's a phrase I drew from a writer named Rick Warren, called Purpose-Driven Life, a book of his. It says, once we realize we're God-connected beings, that we've been given gifts that can be used to bless ourselves and others in the world, he says, our purpose becomes to become good stewards of our affluence and good stewards of our influence, if we're blessed to have any, which all of us are. Every one of us has been given some gifts that we're meant to be good stewards of, to use as a blessing in the world. So working upstream, what does that mean? I think that means getting in close touch with our God connection and our awareness of that. We're God-connected beings, and we've been given gifts to use in service of God's will of love and peace in the world. Whoever we are, wherever we are, that's the source. That's the level we need to get back to. And that will change all the effects going forward, all the reflections, all the ripples going out from there. This is definitely what Jesus taught again and again. The best way he put it, that resonates so strongly even today. Seek first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and all the rest will be added. He was talking to a group of people just like people now. People wondering about their supply, getting food on the table, clothes on their kids' backs, and taking care of their material needs in the world. And he was saying, get your mind off the details. All the rest will be added if you get your focus on the source. The kingdom of God, that presence and power of God that is within and all around us. Get your focus there. All the rest will be added. All the rest will be added. One of my favorite New Thought teachers, Joel Goldsmith. I'm sure some of you have read some of I grew up on Joel Goldsmith. He was one of my mother's favorite teachers as well. He says, every person who has known dissatisfaction, incompleteness, and frustration will someday learn that there is only one missing link in his entire chain of harmonious living. That is the practice of the presence of God. The practice of the presence of God means cultivating that awareness that there's a presence of God in you, that we live and move and have our being within it and it in us. That's working upstream. Practicing the present, that's another way of saying it. That's working way upstream at the level of source. And when we do that, everything else follows from that. And I think if we went around the room and reflected and shared some stories about that, we could share stories about when we made that discovery for ourselves, that we needed to practice the presence, that we needed to get back to source. We needed to plug ourselves in and keep plugging ourselves in daily to remind ourselves we are God-connected beings. There's a wisdom we can draw upon. We have gifts we can use to bless others as well as ourselves. I think for me, and I don't know if it's for other people in the same kind of time scheme, but I think for me it was in my 30s before I really started seeking the kingdom first. And I think that's a key thing. Jesus said, seek first the kingdom. Don't make it just one of the things you do. I think, like in my 20s, I was going to church and taking classes and things, but it was just one of the things I was doing. It wasn't first. It wasn't the priority. I think that comes a little bit later. And I think maybe that works that way for a lot of people. In your early adulthood, you're seeking first a job. You're seeking first the right relationship. You're seeking first out here, trying to get the details right, assuming that your happiness and fulfillment will follow from that. And we can stay there a long time until a frustration arises, a dissatisfaction, something that doesn't work out, that tends to put us back to, wait a minute, maybe I need to go deeper to source here. Maybe I can make life a little easier for myself without all the external details if I plug myself in, if I develop habits that keep me aware of my God connection. And I think that comes with a little more maturity, don't you? I don't think we leap right into that, at 21 or 25. It's something that comes in sometimes with a few disappointments and things that don't work out quite right, and we start realizing, I really need to call on higher power. Has anyone ever had a moment like that? I really need to call on higher consciousness, higher power here, and stay connected to that. And then all the rest will follow, and the guidance will come. I think that happens a lot. It certainly did for me when I began to develop some meditation habits, some prayer habits, some journaling habits, some daily routines that kept me more God-connected or more aware of my God connection. Then ideas come for how to use your gifts in the world, things that are yours to do. Opportunities present themselves. Your guidance is sharper, it becomes sharper. All the rest is added. Jesus is right. We have to get back to source. We have to work upstream. So I think that's something to kind of reflect on. What gifts have you been given as a God-connected being? Each of us has been given unique gifts that can be used to serve the higher good, that will bring us greater fulfillment, a greater sense of purpose than what the world teaches us, which tends to be focus on a job, focus on money, and life can become this kind of work, TV, bed, work, TV, bed, until something challenges us to go a little deeper and look for what am I here for? What's the higher purpose? Get back to source, looking for that deeper satisfaction. The great thing is that no matter who we are or where we find ourselves in our lives, we have gifts we can use to bring ourselves greater fulfillment, to feel more aware of our God connection, to experience more joy from the flow of those gifts through us out to benefit others. I was reading some stories like this online in different places. Some of you might have heard about a man, his name is Jason Winter, started a unique nonprofit called Hope Through Soap. Anyone read about it? He's been on a lot of news programs as well, a lot of TV coverage about his nonprofit and what it does. They just had their 2-year anniversary, this organization, Hope Through Soap. It's a nonprofit org that travels around Metro Atlanta, offering showers, haircuts, food, and clothing to the homeless and people going through challenging times. He has this 12-foot trailer. It's a mobile shower unit that he hooks up to his SUV, and every weekend he heads to a park or a church parking lot or somewhere around Metro Atlanta and provides homeless people with a private space to bathe. There's a shower, a toilet, hot water, heat, and AC. And he has a resource of donated clothing that he makes available to people, like a shopping trip. Well, I've got some great jeans over here for you, and so on. And he hands these things out. He turns it into a block party. Music is playing from the SUV. People are dancing around. Somebody's cooking hot dogs or burgers on a grill, and he does this every Saturday somewhere around Atlanta. And what they seem to offer more than anything else is hope and encouragement. Jason says something as small as a shower gives people hope. That makes sense to me. That what restores human dignity, and more than feeling cleaned up. To have a challenge with that. Some of those homeless shelters are overcrowded, no privacy, in their lavatories and so on, and people trying to bathe in, rest area restrooms or things like that. It's what a shot that undercut your sense of human dignity. To have a nice clean place to take a shower, maybe get some new duds, get your hair cut a little bit. A lot of wonderful donated effort coming together that Jason has created a channel for. And something like 300 people show up for these every Saturday things now, these block parties. He did do it all with a 125-gallon tank he had. And he could do about 27 showers like that. And then someone donated a water meter. I didn't know you could do this. Donated a water meter, which is a multi-$1,000 investment, I guess, so that he could hook up to hydrants. So now he can do unlimited showers, I think, where he goes. And he just is thoroughly enjoying what he is doing on Saturdays. He says, I can't wait for Saturday. So he's been doing this for 2 years now, and it keeps growing. More people wanting to involve their efforts in it. Someone donated a good-sized storage locker, so the donated things coming in, towels, toiletries, clothing items, could all be stored there, so he can load them up and take them in their little shower units on Saturday. I love that. Right now they are in New Bern, North Carolina. They took a trip there to help hurricane victims. And when they arrived on this past Wednesday at something like 2:30 in the afternoon, they had the water flowing by 3:30. Over 100 people were there to greet them, all of whom hadn't showered in a week. Talk about restoring comfort and encouragement and dignity and hope. What a powerful thing he's doing. And it's such a humble gift to offer, a clean shower, a place to shower. I tried to find a little bit about Jason Winter's background. He's 40-something, 41, 42. He said he grew up, there's a little interview on a TV program. He grew up in relative affluence. He said as a kid we had a lot of stuff, we had a good house, a nice car, family, dad had a good job. He said that's all good, but that's not enough. He said, for me, giving back is what makes me feel good. That's my big fancy car. I like that. That's my big fancy car. It seems to me that's a man who gets it. A man who is a good steward of his affluence. It's not about just getting more and hoarding and getting as much together as you can. It's about giving it away, really. Giving away what you have, what you are, what your gifts are. And then the more you do that, your needs are met. You have a greater sense of abundance than ever before. That's true abundance. He's a good steward of his influence, sharing his talents in this unique way, and it's bringing him a great feeling of satisfaction and prosperity. I couldn't find much about his personal life except that his job is as an account manager. I don't know what an account manager is exactly. Maybe advertising or marketing? That would be my guess, if you're an account manager. And I thought, well, that explains maybe he's very good with the social media, letting people know where he is and what he's doing. He has something like 10,000 followers. He's really good at communications, letting people know what's going on. He's very good at organizing fundraising events. and connecting up with like Red Cross offices and things like that when he's coordinating something for a community. He's an account manager. And I thought, well, isn't this neat? He's an account manager for God now. He's an account manager for God. He's using his God-given gifts. He's being guided in how to use them in the community, and he's using all his account management skills in this way of serving a higher good than just putting money in his bank account or food on his table. He's tapped into this higher level, that brings deeper satisfaction and spreads the good. He's giving himself away now and experiencing more joy and fulfillment than he ever did before as an account manager for whoever he was managing accounts for in the past. I think we can all find ways to work for God in this way. We can all be servers of the good, of the purpose of loving kindness and peace and in our midst, and be on the side of lifting that up and spreading more good in the world, whatever our gifts are, however humble they are. I stumbled on another story that I just thought was so lovely about about a man who got widowed fairly early, and he still had a young child. He had a little girl and was raising her on his own, and he was doing great with everything. But one thing he had a challenge with was doing her hair. I thought, I can understand that. And dealing with hair can be tricky. A long-haired little girl. And so when, early on, after his wife died, he cut it off into like a pixie cut, so she didn't have any hair at all for a while. And then it grew out, of course, and it wound up being just kind of an everyday ponytail, just pulled back and with a scrunchie around it, and off she went to school on the bus. Well, it must have come up with a bus driver. They had a very lovely bus driver, a woman bus driver, on her route that took her to school every morning. And the little girl must have said something. I don't know how it came up, but before too long, the bus driver was braiding her hair before school, before she got off the bus, and just kind of allowing an extra few minutes. The local TV news did a story on this little kindness, and pretty soon it was 2 or 3 little girls. And she'd get there and park the school bus in the school lot with a little, 10 minutes to spare, 10 or 15 minutes to spare, so she could do these. And we're not talking just one braid, we're talking these intricate braids, like 2 or 3 of them, French braids. The women are nodding, you know what I'm talking about. Then both gathered together back with a hair ribbon, something like that. And there were shots of the little girl at school, just bright-eyed and feeling like she looked good. That feeling like you look good and you've been taken care of somehow. And the bus driver had a great feeling of satisfaction. She's doing more than just driving that bus to and from the school. She's caretaking. She is extending that loving kindness, spreading that love and goodwill in the world to bless those children and to bless other people as they hear about it, and maybe inspire others to do similar things. There's something infectious about good works in the world. Something infectious, like all the people that want to work with Jason Winter. All the people now, if you scan his Facebook page on Hope Through Soap, people want to donate. People are, where can I drop things off? Can I do this? I know about this. Can I give you this? Can I send you, where should I send a check? It's something contagious. People want to be a part of good work in the world. And I think we all know why. Because it isn't enough just to be here and make money, and have a job and watch TV and go to bed and get up and go to a job and go home and watch TV and go to bed. It isn't enough. We all need more than that. Amen?
Amen.
Amen. And the opportunities to do that, they're here. We need to have our antenna up because God has given us gifts we're meant to use in service of the good. And as we find ways to do that, we are blessed. And we bless others. We're working upstream, the source of our good, and it's going to flow out in ripples that are blessings that widen and widen as they go forth. So that's my affirmation for today. I'm ready to work upstream. Would you like to join me in that?
I'm ready to work upstream.
Let's take that into prayer. We are ready to work upstream, to commune with our God's source, that source of all our good. To do so routinely, regularly, to feel that deep truth of our God connection, to be aware of that, to move from that, to be guided by that day by day, to be willing to use our gifts in service of the good in the world around us, to take advantage of the opportunities that arise, that allow us to do that. And we know we will be a blessing in the world and a blessing to ourselves. And we are grateful to the power and presence within us that makes it so. And so it is. Amen.